We all know Lavender Town, the small, quiet town of purple. There's not much. A Pokemon Center and a Pokemart, like in any other town. A few houses, but its most unique feature is a tower, filled with all the graves of Pokemon. However, have you ever heard of the old Lavender Town? Have you ever wondered why it is like it is now? Let me tell you the story of old Lavender Town. Lavender Town was actually a big city in Kanto back then. It had everything better than what Kanto has today. A mall that was bigger than the department store in today's Caledon City, a power plant that supplied all of Kanto's electricity. Many restaurants and houses were placed upon the large city, even a few Pokemon daycares and a school for teaching kids about being a Pokemon trainer. It was larger than today's Saffron City. It was a city that was so popular we get trainers from all over the world come, along with their unheard of Pokemon. They told us about them, their Pokemon, in the region. There were some from faraway regions named Sinnoh, and a few other regions named Heian. It was often a peaceful town. Everyone knew each other. All the kids would play together for hours on end each day. Pokemon trainers would go out and have Pokemon battles in the local arenas in the city. One day, there was a headline on Lavender Town's newspaper. Quote, "The Lavender Telegram," end quote. End quote. "Unknown killer killed a family of 4 last night. Unknown killer has tainted our city with the blood of a family and 4 of their Pokemon. The following are the victims of this poor tragedy: Isaac Stauffer, Gloria Stauffer, and their son and daughter, Michael and Jamie Stauffer. The following Pokemon that were killed are the following: 1 Pikachu, 2 Rattatas, 1 Pidgey, and a Spearow. We will boost all of our police activity until further notice. Stay inside and contact the people if you ever see this unknown killer." End quote. Ever since that article, people have been staying indoors. Day by day, this, end quote, unknown killer, end quote, has been killing more and more people until the town has its few citizens. The odd thing that I noticed was what he did. He didn't just kill them, he tore them apart. They were cut open, revealing their internal organs. They were amputated in all appendages and were decapitated as well. They were also torn apart in the skin. You could see chunks and large amounts of skin ripped off if you saw one of the bodies. The killer was nowhere to be found after. The city was minimized to having most of its land gone and scribbled down to the size of a small city we have today. They began to construct the tower, since more Pokemon got killed than victims. They sent the victims to another far-off region to be buried. While constructing the tower, one of the workers found a letter above where one of the bodies were. Quote, see, quote, "No one knew what it meant until another few workers found another few letters. Quote, S, quote, and, quote, you, quote. They thought he was trying to say something, but they kept looking for more letters. Quote, E, quote, was the letter found while searching. They kept trying to make up words with the letters. A few words they came up with were, quote, cuss, quote, or, quote, ecus, quote, but no one knew the answer. When they were almost done constructing the tower, about a few weeks later, a worker found one last letter, quote, R, quote. They went back to making words after the construction was complete. They kept making words that wouldn't have made sense, such as, quote, ricus, quote, or, quote, screw, quote, which nothing made sense. One day, one of the constructors went back to the boss and gathered all the other workers. Quote, I may have the answer. to that word. Quote, the constructor said weakly, quote, what is it? You okay? Quote, curiously and worryingly said all the other constructors and the boss. Quote, curse. This city was cursed by the killer. It's why we have lost everything. All of our citizens and their Pokemon. All of our land and our title of being one of Kanto's best and largest cities. Quote, the constructor said weakly and nervously. All the constructors and the boss were speechless. It had made sense since the killer was nowhere to be found after the massacre of all the citizens, and they had gathered all the Pokemon who died with them. They had most of their land lost since they had no need for them, and it went from Kanto's biggest and largest city to a small, unfortunate little town. After they buried all the Pokemon in the tower, as they were about to leave, after finishing all the work they can, they found something on the wall. In words that were made of what appeared to be in blood, it said, quote, curse, quote. This began to frighten the workers. Then a loud, demonic, and psychotic voice said, quote, get out, quote, and laughing occurred. All of the constructors had left the tower and the city. The only people who were left in Lavender Town were two kids, an old man known as Mr. Fuji and his wife. They've been there since. You may be wondering how I know all of this or who the killer was. I'm the killer, and a lot of you may know me already. If you don't, however, head to the tower. I'll be waiting.